Good morning, everyone. It's 7 a.m. Central Standard Time, and I am having my tea. You're going to see the whole process today. Having some delicious chai tea from Steep Tea, Christmas chai. Welcome. Good morning. I'm really excited to be here today because I chose to talk about a topic that is hard for me to talk about. I won't say I'm necessarily uncomfortable talking about it, but I am challenged by the topic of relationships today. And maybe that's why I decided to do it at 7 a.m. so that I can be as honest as I can since I'm barely awake. Hi, Patty, my love. So today I'm talking about relationships and how to have quality relationships. The reason why this topic is so challenging for me at any rate, it's because relationships have never come easy for me. It's in my path of growth, my path to personal recovery as a recovering perfectionist. Relationships are, without a doubt, the area of my life that I've had to work on the most. And that is why I decided to talk about it, because you know what? I know I'm not the only one. I know I'm not the only person that has struggled with this, and thank God it's taken me, well, now 29 years to finally feel like I have the handle on the key. Not that I have necessarily all quality relationships in my life, but I know the key to have quality relationships in my life, and that is what I want to share with you today. Last week on episode 1, we were talking about responsibility, personal responsibility, and I think it ties in really gracefully into what we'll be talking about today. Because in reality, in a relationship, we're only responsible for 50%, and we're responsible for the 100% of that 50%. There is not given that to anyone else. So on that note, I am talking to you if you've ever felt like you can't trust anyone, if you've ever felt like people betray you, personal responsibility, yes. If you've ever felt like you're the type of person that people take advantage of, if you're consider yourself a people pleaser, if people abuse you, or if you can't seem to get along with your family because they don't accept you, or every person you date or every romantic relationship you've had has ended in a tragic or very similar way, or simply men or women are not good, men are dogs, women are hoes. If you identify with any of these statements, if you think that relationships are hard for you, if you struggle with them, then please stick around, because I'm going to drop some truths, and some truths that really changed my life and changed how I view my relationships from now on. And like I said, it has a lot to do with personal responsibility. So if you're not in the mood to hear that you're responsible for the relationships you have, then maybe you don't want to stick around and watch it when you have a drink or something in your hand. For now, we'll have tea. Mine is really hot right now, that's why I haven't even tried it. But let's keep talking. If you're the type of person, if you are at any rate struggle with relationships, or you know somebody that struggle with relationships, you know you have that friend that always picks the same type of guy, or that is struggling with their family and whatnot, I want to talk to you about personal responsibility in relationship, about owning your part. That is the first. That's the first step, because the reality is that there is not a coincidence in your relationships. There is not a mistake, there's not an accident on why these relationships are where they are and you feel the way you feel. I always like to set this example with either friendships or romantic relationships, because those are the ones that we consciously choose. If you tend to pick the same type of person, or you have the same type of results with the people you date or you hang out with, chances are that you are picking this people. Like, it's not chances, like this is happening. You are attracting these people, you are feeling attracted to them, you are moving towards them, and you are engaging into a relationship based on patterns that you've learned. So one of the examples that I love giving is, if you're a woman and you've decided that all men suck and all men are dogs, chances are that you like puppy dogs, because whatever idea you have in your mind of what a man should be, that's what you're picking. Not what you necessarily want or need, but what you believe a man is. Let me see if I explain this right. So you're growing up, and this is for my ladies that are struggling in romantic relationships. As you grow up, you start filling your hard drive with these ideas, words that represent what a man is in your life. The same thing happens with friends. You start filling up ideas of filling your mind with ideas of what a friendship is supposed to be, what women are, what men are, and whatnot. So as you grow up, these words start becoming your blueprint for picking the people that you have in your life. Okay? So that is the first thing that you need to acknowledge and own. You pick the people that you have in your life. Maybe you didn't pick your family, maybe, or like your mom and your dad, but you still pick who stays. So I'm going to talk about family in a little bit, and that's going to be a hard one. So I used to be the type of person that would pick men based on the idea that I had on, I had two parental figures. That's fun. So I either went for two streams of men, and none of them worked. Both of them represented the two men that raised me. But there was a point when I realized what I was doing that I said, God damn it, I am picking my uncle and I'm picking my dad, and not necessarily the nice parts of them. So what happens is that we have our reticular attention center system in our mind, and that's filled with all of the ideas that we have or the truths and our beliefs about things. So it works kind of like a radar. So when you walk into a room full of men or full of women, and you feel like you're looking for a man or you're looking for a woman, the reticular attention system kicks in. You walk in and it starts going, okay, so beep, 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 until it finds the person that matches your idea of men or woman best. And mind you, at first you have no control of this, but once you realize the things that these people have in common, you will start realizing what you really believe about men or women. So you want to be really conscious about that, because the only thing that these people for sure have in common, like there's no denying, it's you. So the way you pick them, the way you choose who is going to be in a relationship with you, that is 100% on you. So that is the first thing I want to talk about when it comes to quality relationships. If you can, you get to pick them, you know. It's not that you can, you get to pick the people. So that's where quality starts. What's the quality of people that you are letting into your life, that you're letting stay in your life? Okay? So let's say that you're fairly sure that this person is quality, but you enter a relationship, a friendship, and you start mingling and really getting into the whole best friendships, brunching, or just sharing and having very thoughtful heart-to-hearts. What happens then when things starts to shift and it starts falling into the same pattern? Somebody's starting to take advantage of you, somebody's starting to make you really angry, or is really angry at you and it's making you feel like shit. You're feeling very guilty and very ashamed when you talk to this person. What happens then? Okay, I mean, what's going on when this happens? Well, what's going on is that you're falling into your regular patterns of behavior. And usually, and one thing that human beings struggle a lot is identifying our patterns, but most importantly, having meaningful conversations with people that will allow us to set boundaries. And I finally got to the key to everything. It took me a little bit, but all you need to know right now is that the key to quality relationships is personal boundaries, well-defined, clear personal boundaries. And some people might tell me, and I have a person, I actually had a client who was struggling with setting boundaries with someone. She told me, well, she doesn't respect my boundaries. I have had this conversation with her 100 times. I really don't want to see this person, etc. And I'm like, this person doesn't respect your boundaries because you don't respect your boundaries. When you don't know what's okay, what's non-negotiable for you, then you cannot expect anyone to respect it for you. So the key to quality relationships is boundaries. The key to quality relationships is letting people know what's okay and what's not okay, because that's the only way that you can hold them accountable and that they can hold you accountable. When you set your boundaries, you are setting up the floor plan for a healthy relationship. Why? Because whether this person wants to respect it or not, it will give you a clear idea of who they are and whether you want to be in that relationship or not. And once again, it comes back to personal responsibility. You are in every relationship you are because you want to, even if it's blood related. Okay? And I'm going to give you the example of boundaries in the hardest relationships of my life, and that is family. Family has been the hardest ocean to navigate for me in the field of relationships. I have a barely existent relationship with my dad because now I chose that was going to be the right thing for me. I used to have a very rocky relationship with my mom due to the differences in our personalities, due to personal differences that go into my story, and I will share that with you a little later. But in the end, what I want you to know is that I've never felt accepted or loved in my house. In my family, I've always felt like I needed to be someone else, like I needed to change. My mom never accepted me for who I am. My dad will never accept me for who I am. Now, what I needed to do was set clear boundaries with my family and let them know what was non-acceptable and non-negotiable for me. And it was hard as balls. Why? Because these people are not expecting it from me. They were not expecting it from me, and they will not be expecting it from you. They want life to stay the same because that's their status quo. But if you are committed to grow, you cannot accept somebody else's limitations for you. You need to set your boundaries and you need to stick to them. So the boundaries in my family looked like not having extremely personal conversations with my mom, because she's the type of person that takes things personally, and not necessarily having a relationship with my dad. I decided that that was not the best thing for me, and I am okay with that, and they have learned to respect it. My mom, who used to be the person that judged my hair, now flatters me for it. My dad, who really is my biggest judge after myself, now send me text messages wishing me well in my endeavors. Why? Because that is the relationship I decided to have with them, and I am not negotiating the quality of my relationship with my family, just as I am not negotiating the quality of my relationship with my friends, and I am not negotiating the quality of my relationship with my loved ones, like my husband. So I want you to ask yourself, what is your personal responsibility in every single relationship you have? Have you picked these people? Are you allowing them to step on you? Are you allowing them to act in a way that is not acceptable for you? If that's the truth, then you need to start setting boundaries for yourself. First for yourself and then for others. And once you set boundaries in your relationships, then that's when generosity kicks in. Why do I mention generosity? Because you need to give people the same treatment that you want them to give you. Meaning, you need to ask them about their boundaries. You need to observe their boundaries. You need to respect their boundaries. You need to make yourself aware of what's bothering them. And if you are not willing to respect that, and that's perfectly fine, that it's time for you to let go. And once again, yes, Felix, it's staying or not staying. If somebody's boundaries are not acceptable to you, then you get to figure out if you want to stay or to leave. And that is perfectly okay. And it's going to hurt like a motherfucker. I'm not saying it's going to be pleasant. I'm not saying it's going to be a walk in the park. What I'm saying is that it's going to be worth it for your mental health and for the quality of your relationships in the long run. So ask yourself, why did you pick these people? What idea do you have in your mind of who they are supposed to be for you? What expectations do you have of them? Are they realistic? And if they're not, what are the boundaries that you're willing to set for yourself and for others? And where do you draw the line? I invite you to ask yourself that, because it might mean the difference between a healthy future for you or more of the same. And if you're watching this, I am very sure that you don't want more of the same in your life. So go forth and prosper. I'll be here having my tea. And if you have any questions or any comments about this, just drop them down there. Thank you, Felix, and thank you, Patty, for connecting with me today. This has been fun. So you have a great Tuesday, everyone.